Hey, hi, hello, I'm Lisa Michelle, and this is Rare Pairs, the podcast where I randomly select two characters from a pop culture fandom, and then do my very best to get creative and try to convince you, as well as myself, that they would make a great pair. Each episode, I will do two different ships, and at the end, I'm going to leave it to the listeners to decide which one you think made the better pair. Tweet your choice at Rare Pairs Pod, or if you have a limerick, a sonnet, a fable, wherever it may be that you'd like to send my way that may not fit in a tweet, feel free to email those to the pod at rarepairspod@gmail.com. Folks, we are in the thick of the holiday season right now, and I sincerely apologize that means my recording schedule has gone all sorts of wonky. It's a bit of a mess. I can see it. I will own that. But it really is my hope to create a consistent schedule and to be releasing an episode every week. So that means I'm going to slightly change my formatting so that I can do that better. And what does that mean, you may be asking? That means that there won't be a video component to each episode as there was before. That doesn't mean it will never happen. It will. And I'll let you guys know at the top of the episode which ones have a video component and which ones do not. Regardless, each episode will still be put on YouTube. Just the ones that don't have a video component will just be the header, and then the ones that do, you'll be able to watch my sweet cherub face as I lose my mind while I read these different batshit pairings. So if you're strictly an audio listener, this really changes nothing for you rather than me, just getting better at this whole podcasting thing and getting some consistency with this feed. All right, now let us dive in. Let us dive into today's fandom. You saw the title of this episode. It is Our Flag Means Death. I am so excited to have the opportunity to talk about this today because this show has truly given me so much joy this past year. I'm on my fourth rewatch right now, and it just doesn't get old. It's been amazing to see this fandom engage with the cast and the creators. It is such a wonderfully wholesome space compared to a lot of different fandoms that you see these days. Now, I am a massive Steed and Ed girl. I mean, who isn't out there at this point? So I'm gonna have a little bit of a hard time, I'm not gonna lie, if I pick either of their names to ship them with someone else because my heart just knows that they are the ideal pairing for each other. So I'm low-key hoping that I won't pick their names, but if I do, I will do my best because that's the nature of this exercise after all, So before I draw my first names, let's just go back and review what the three categories are that we use to help judge each pairing. The first category is vibe check, just their current compatibility in canon. The second category is aesthetics. Would they be a cute pair? And category 3, alternate universe, my personal favorite. Alternate universe is where I create my own little tale as to how these characters would actually get together. All right, I am reaching in to select the first character from the bowl of names in front of me. Let's see. Our first name is Roach. You know what's funny is before I started this, I kind of had a weird gut feeling that Roach was going to come up today. Roach is in the house with his butcher knife and all. All right, our second name is... Okay, our second name is Geraldo, which, as we know, is the recently parted husband to Spanish Jackie. May he rest in pieces. Roach and Geraldo. I can honestly say I didn't see that one coming. I was not prepared. So our category 1, vibe check. Their current compatibility is a bit tough, given that Geraldo sold out the captain of the Revenge. That's a tough look to kind of come back from. I will say Roach and Spanish Jackie kind of have similar energies, though. And by that, I mean that he's also a bit sadistic. He doesn't have any problems with getting his hands a bit dirty, Ooh, also remember I believe it was in episode 2, when he wanted to torture the hostages a bit, and he was so into that. You know who loves torture? Or just like a light little BDSM. Geraldo! Because what was it? Was it when he was spit in the face? He was just like, I actually enjoyed that, thank you. I actually think that if we subbed in Roach with Spanish Jackie, this could work out extremely well. And I mean, immediate plus is that Roach doesn't have a bunch of other husbands like Jackie does. So he could put all of his attention towards Geraldo, which I think he would really enjoy. I mean, he was content to be, was he like the 13th husband? I think that he would be just so content with being the only one. And pivoting from there to category 2 aesthetics, would they be a cute pair? You know? I think they both kind of have big cat energy. It's definitely not a case of golden retriever black cat energy. No, they both are definite cats, which kind of could be interesting. I think that there could be something there. I don't know if I can really picture it in my mind. I kind of have to pull up a side by side of them to like really see it. But all right, using our imagination on our ice cube to ghost pepper hotness scale, what are we ranking this couple? I'm inclined to give them a heated pizza pocket. When you take it out of the microwave and the first bite's like, ooh, there's a little bit of a heat kick to it. And then it kind of mellows out and you can just enjoy it. And it's warm. It's not too hot. But there's definitely that little bit of a kick, which I think lends to the kind of physical relationship that they would have with each other. So yeah, I'm going to give them a just out of the microwave pizza pocket on our hotness scale. Moving into category 3, alternate universe, how are they getting together? Okay, so let's say when Geraldo is trying to turn Steed in, what ends up happening instead is that the crew, they smarten up a bit and they catch on what's about to happen. So they end up kidnapping Geraldo instead. He is the new hostage. And of course, you know who loves to look after hostages? Roach. So maybe Geraldo's down there. Let's say he's in a brig. Do we even know actually if the Revenge has a brig? I'm not sure. Let's just say there is a brig down there. That is very anti-Steed though. He's not a brig kind of guy. Okay. Let's say that then they just put him in the ballroom. So he's in the ballroom and Roach looks after him. I think at the beginning, Geraldo's trying to kind of flirt his way out of it, and it's like not genuine at all. And Roach can totally see that. So then it changes from the like, okay, clearly that's not working on you. So he gives up a bit. The front kind of, it goes down a little for Geraldo. And then that's how they get to know each other. Maybe in that one episode where there are no more oranges, Roach goes down to the ballroom and he's just so frustrated. And he confides in his feelings with Geraldo. He's like, I told him that we shouldn't have made that recipe because it would take all of our oranges, but no, Captain Bonnet insisted. So maybe that's where the ice, kind of breaks. It's the first time that Roach isn't directing his frustration like on Geraldo about Geraldo. It's about someone else. So then maybe that's where they bond. They talk a little shit. And then maybe from there, while they're bonding, Geraldo's like, I want to join your crew. Like, not be a prisoner. I'm not trying to leave, go anywhere else. He's like, I actually want to be a part of this. Because even when Roach is upset with Steed, he clearly still has so much love for his crew. At this point, they're a full family. And Geraldo's never really had that. So then Roach takes it to Steed. Steed is such a loving and wonderfully optimistic kind of guy. Where I could see him giving Geraldo a chance. There's a bit of a trial period, and the rest of the crew kind of gives him shit. But then over time, they warm up to him because clearly, like, he's not trying to play them. He genuinely wants to be part of their crew. Maybe since Roach is who vouched for Geraldo, Steed is like, okay, well then he's your responsibility, which means that Roach has to keep a close eye on him. They're together all the time. They're doing all the work together. Oh, maybe Geraldo, since he's a bartender, maybe, and he wanted to open a kitchen. Oh my gosh, and Roach works in the kitchen. Oh, maybe Geraldo's his little sous chef. Oh, that's good. That's good. They're both on kitchen duty together. And then, oh my God. And then maybe it's something like, oh, pass it the apple or whatever it is. And so then when they go and pass it, their fingers brush. Oh my God. Electricity. That's how it would happen. They're both in the kitchens, passing something, and then, a little zzz when they touch each other. Oh my God. Oh my God, I ship it. I feel like this is what happens every single time. I'm like, how could this possibly work? And then by the end, I've talked myself into a frenzy of exactly how it would work. And I'm so here for it. That is so good. That is exactly how they would get together. I am very pleased with our first pairing. Now we are going to go into our second pairing, and I'm going to select our first name. Let's see. Jim. Oh, Jim. What a babe. Okay, this is going to be a really hard one because they're already in the perfect relationship. Oh, I didn't even think about having to match them with someone else. Okay, let's see. Who will Jim be with? Jim is with Mary Bonnet. Oh, wow. Ooh, okay. We have two very tough cookies here. This is very interesting because I do think that Jim benefits from having a softer companion, like a more loving companion to kind of soften their exterior. Oh, Mary. But we know that she can be that way. You know, she did try, at least in the beginning with Steed, with the lighthouse painting. Actually, we see how loving she is with Doug. So given the right person, maybe Mary could be that kind of soft, nurturing character. Okay, we're going to talk this through as a crew. Yes, we are. First category, vibe check. Jim obviously has such a hard exterior. And what's interesting is Jim is very much so not a character looking for love. You know, like with Olawande, it's just kind of what happened. I think that Mary is a very devoted person, which would be compatible with someone like Jim. I think Jim would need someone who is not going to, up and leave when things get hard, when they're being difficult. And clearly Mary is that kind of person, given how long she stayed with Steed, and she wanted to work it out. She tried talking to him. That one episode when they were like lying in the bed, and she was saying like, this is like what it is. We can at least, try. We can try to make this work. So I could see her being the kind of fully devoted partner that I think would suit Jim, even though Mary may not be the warmest person. But that's okay. There's layers. You don't have to be this full softie all of the time. Okay, I think a lot of this will work out in our third category because my brain is kind of twisting of how they would work together. But let's just say in current canon, it's not there. But I think I'll be able to spin this one. Hey, if I can spin Samwise Gamgee and Treebeard, I think I could do Jim and Mary. All right, so our second category, aesthetics. And my answer is yes. I think that they would definitely be a cute pair, especially when you look at Mary from the lens of like the ending. I think if we are looking at Widow Mary, when she is in her prime, she is confident. She's out there. She's looking fresh. She has her passions. Everyone is way more attractive when they're confident with themselves, when they're loving themselves and what they're doing. I think if we take that Mary with Jim, who has already had the experience of returning to St. Augustine, breaking down the barriers a bit, I think they would be a very attractive couple. On our ice cube to ghost pepper hotness scale, I think I'm going to give them a hot spiked apple cider. It has that kick to it with if you're mixing some whiskey in there, and then just from the spices alone that's in the cider, could leave a little burn on your tongue, but it's not the hottest thing you've ever had. But it's warming, it kind of soothes your insides. That's what I think Jim and Mary are. Yeah, definitely. Spiked hot apple cider. What a treat. Going into category 3, alternate universe. How do Jim and Mary get together? Okay, let's say in this alternate universe, Jim and Olawande are not together. They're best friends. Because I can't handle a breakup between them two. That's just not fair at all. So let's say that Steed has gone home. He abandoned Ed. And instead of Ed spiraling, he goes back to the crew of the Revenge. And he's like, something is wrong. Because we were on the same page. He said he wanted to come with me. I know that there's some kind of guilt with his family because he's heard Steed say it. It's been brought up before. So maybe instead of giving up, he's like, I'm giving this one more shot. He figures out where Steed's family is. And then the crew of the Revenge go to town. They go and they bang down the door. They go in. They find Steed. They find Mary. Clearly, everyone is miserable. Ooh, and let's say also in this world, Doug and Mary just have a professional friendship relationship because once again, I don't want to have to break them up because I think they're a very sweet pairing. So let's say Mary and Jim are both unattached at this point, but they both have had these character developments, which makes them more, at least open to finding love once more. Or I should say, Mary finding love for the first time ever, and Jim just like maybe not being disgusted by the idea of like feelings. So they bang down the door, they enter in, and Ed is just like, Steed, what are you doing? Honey, what are you doing? And then the crew is like, oh, we shouldn't be around for this. Mary is honestly kind of thrilled, and she's surprised. She's like, wait, you actually did know Blackbeard? That's Blackbeard? Kind of feel like she thought that Steed was just lying about what he said he did in his travels. So then she's secretly relieved. She's like, yes, please take him away. Like, talk some sense into him. And so then the crew of the Revenge and Mary, they all go to like the sitting parlor while Steed and Ed, talk it out in, I don't know. I kind of imagine, okay, Lisa, this is not about them. It doesn't matter. See, I can't help it. Okay. And then in this other room, Mary just kind of keeps looking at Jim. She's kind of, she's eyeing all of them. It would be alarming to see the crew in the parlor room. And I imagine that Lucius is the only one trying to make kind of the small talk. He's just like, there's a lovely cushions you have. Or he's just trying to put a salve over this extremely uncomfortable energy. And Jim is just over it. Jim's like, I just don't care. Abruptly stands up, stalks outside, and then starts doing the classic practice of throwing the daggers at a tree, just to pass the time because they don't want to be bothered by this trivial drama. And so then after a few minutes, Mary kind of goes outside quietly, eyes around. It's just like, hi, what are you doing? Then Jim just makes a short reply. Something of like, what does it look like? There's a bit of a coldness there. And then Mary immediately gets a crush. That's kind of how I see it. Mary's just like immediate attraction, and there isn't anything deeper at that point, but just like, wow, look at this person throwing knives. I mean, try and tell me that wouldn't work on you. Like, that would 100% work on me. If I was just looking, we're in this beautiful weather, and this mysterious stranger just comes in, ups, leaves, goes outside, is just throwing knife after knife at my tree. Like, I'm kind of into it. And so then let's say Steed isn't easily talked into leaving, which means that the crew is staying for the night. Ooh, 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 ooh. And so then Mary's kind of keeping a close eye on Jim, not because she's worried or anything, but just out of interest, out of curiosity. And so everyone's kind of separated, walking around the mansion, like just absolutely gobsmacked of the money that Steed has. I mean, they knew he was rich, but seeing it all right in front of them, they're like, really? You left this to be with us? Crazy. And so I could kind of imagine that maybe it's later in the evening and then Mary finds Jim once more. And maybe it's even just to say, are you comfortable? Did you find a room? Everyone's kind of just sleeping on the different chaise lounges or, there's probably a few bedrooms, etc., etc. And then Jim is like, I'm just going to go sleep on the ship. This is not for me. And Mary kind of insists, like, no, stay. Everyone else is staying here. And then Jim says, no, I'm going to go. And then Mary brings up maybe it's like a glass decanter of rum or something like that. Will you at least stay for a drink? And then Jim pauses. Oh, and mind you, since it's evening and this is, the olden times, it's just candlelight. So we have like the flickering of the shadows. It's very moody. It's very sexy. And so then Jim's like, okay, sure. So then they're sitting down together. And they're drinking. Mary opens up basically how insane and how miserable it was to be with Steed. And then Jim kind of makes a joke. He's not the easiest person to live with. And they kind of tease, they joke a little bit. It gets a little quiet. Jim asks, what have you been doing since, you left? I heard you have kids. And then Mary talks about the paintings and says, I actually have a studio, this barn that's back there. Jim is like, At this point, they're 2 drinks in. They fill up a third. And then Jim says, why don't you go show me? So then I'm blushing right now just thinking about this. Oh my God. Then they go out to the studio. And this is when Jim's idea of Mary starts to kind of shift into interest back. Maybe not romantic, maybe not in like a sexual way, but this is the first time that Jim actually has an interest. They're like, oh, wow, you are really talented. You did this? You did all of this? And Mary's so proud. Mary starts talking about like the different ones that she's done. And this is their moment. This is their beginning. They just go into talking for the rest of the night. We've panned away. We're catching up on what Steed and Ed are doing. Then when we come back, they're just slumped down against the wall and they're chatting and they have a bit of the warm glow because they've been drinking. They're getting along. And then Jim makes a surprisingly vulnerable comment. I wonder what it would be like to have a life like this, a steady life. Not having to go kill people, not being expected to be this tough person all the time. And then Mary says, well, if you want to stay, I have a spare room, you could have this. And Jim's like, no, that's crazy kind of thing. But Mary's like, just think about it. There's nothing stopping you from having a normal life. Because remember, at this point, Jim has made peace with Jackie and can let that part go. I think that they will always have this, kind of urge for like adventure. But I do think that there's something about the robbed childhood, aspect to it where maybe Jim's just kind of seeking that. Just to calm down, having normal life would probably be very welcomed. So at the next light, they're leaving. Ed has convinced Steed. Steed's just like, Mary. And apologizes. And Mary's like, I know. Just leave. It's fine. You didn't need to come back. They have their little reconciliation where Steed says, are you going to be all right? Maybe Mary glances over at Jim and is like, I'll be fine. I'm going to be okay. I have my gig. I'm good. They're leaving. Jim hesitates. Ooh, and since they're close with Olawande, maybe he notices Jim's hesitance and it's just like, hey, noticed you weren't around last night. What's going on? Are you okay? And then Jim kind of opens up a bit, very grudgingly, of the conversation that they had with Mary. And then Olawande kind of looks between, the crew of the Revenge are walking away. Mary is going back in the house and Olawande just says, I think you should do what will make you happy. It's been long enough that you've been doing things on someone else's schedule. What do you want to do? And Jim looks left, looks right, and then chooses Mary. I genuinely think that at the beginning, it's a real slow burn into friendship, into love. It's not there yet for Jim. Jim's going to take a long time. I think Mary kind of knows where she's at from the jump. But, over time, she really cares for Jim. So then she's willing. She's willing to, let it work. Yeah, I think that actually would be a really nice way of them getting together. And then maybe one day Jim can get Mary to go out on the water, not for an extended bit. And then Mary realizes, oh, it wasn't because I hate the ocean. It's because I hated Steed. Something with the right person, maybe it works. Guys, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I've made a really convincing case for both of these ships. And now that we've heard from both of them, I want to help inform the listener's decision even more, while you're deciding which of these pairs made the better ship. So what I'm going to do is look up each pairing on Archive of Our Own, AO3, and I'm going to see if either of these pairings have ever been written before. And if yes, I'm going to look for the one that has the most hits, read the title, the blurb, and, just see what we find. Okay, I've done my search for our first pairing, and not that surprising, nothing came up for Geraldo and Roach. Now, of course, that does not mean that they are not a good ship. That just means, people haven't seen the light yet of what could be there. Next, I'm going to be looking up Jim and Mary. Ooh. On AO3, Jim has a lot of pair. Oh my god, the second one is Jim and Elizabeth Swan. Ooh. I know that is not our rare pair for today, but Jim and Elizabeth Swan, that is spicy. If anyone has ever read any of that, please report back. I am extremely curious. Wow, that would be a ghost pepper on the hotness scale. Oh, Jesus. I I have officially lost the plot. I am looking for Jim and Mary. What? Okay, so shockingly enough, 3 results came up, but I'm realizing that it is the same fic 3 times. Okay, I'm going to look at the one that was published first because the others look like that they're just translations. All right, so the original one was put out on the 27th of March of 2022. The title is You Should Be So Happy Now. Ooh, by Wave Ridden. That's a great name. Whoever this author is, Wave Ridden, I'm here for you. All right, so it's 7,688 words. Oh my gosh, it's 24,000 hits. What? 24,000 hits, that's amazing. That's a lot of people that have read this. The blurb is, in a way, Mary supposes that she's lucky that it only takes 1 day for the pirates to attack her ship. Ooh, that's spicy. And then in parentheses below, it says, Blackbeard takes a hostage, Mary takes some risks, and Steed takes everyone by surprise. Woohoo! Okay, that sounds really fun. 7,000 words. It's just a hot little one shot. 24,000 hits. That's amazing. You go, Wave Ridden. I fully support what you're doing out here. Thank you so much. So I'm going to now leave you with all of this information to make your own decision. Which one do you think made the better rare pair? Was it Roach and Geraldo, or was it Jim and Mary? Please reach out with your choices because I am extremely curious to see which one comes out on top. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Rare Pairs, and I hope everyone has an incredible holiday season. Thank you so much also for your patience as the release schedule of these episodes has gotten a bit wonky. I really appreciate you. You can follow the pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Rare Pairs Pod. Please review, rate, and subscribe. Tell your friends, your foes, and your local orange orchard. Oh, it's been an absolute delight today. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay safe and happy shipping. Bye!